what the Lakers did this weekend will either A, work, or B, is like smart. I'd love to hear from you. What the Lakers did this weekend. Here's the short version. Frank Vogel, because after a horrendous stint with the Magic, after a very good stint with the Pacers, but
very good.
horrendous stint with the Magic, Frank Vogel's value is at an all-time low. So Frank Vogel took the money, and I don't begrudge him for doing that. And Frank Vogel took the money and the terms that Tyronn Lue said, stick it. I'm better than that. Tyronn Lue said the exact amount of years. Peace. Not interested. So Frank Vogel took that, and then he also took Jason Kidd, shoved down his throat. How in the world is this a good setup for the Lakers?
I don't know how it's a good setup for Frank Vogel.
Well, he's going to get paid. That's what's good.
Yeah, he's getting paid, but you're further going to erode whatever perception there was about you from his very successful, not like ultimately successful, but very successful stint at the Indiana Pacers, where he went to 2 conference finals. Now, he lost both of them, but he went there. And remember, he used to come on the show.
Oh, yeah. We gave him the Tiki and Tierney mojo. Then he got a little too big for his britches.
Then he got fired the next year. Then he goes down to Orlando, and he missed the playoffs and finished the last in the division for 2 years in a row.
Right.
And now he's been sitting on the couch for a year. But now he's back.
Hey, Coach, don't diss us.
Agreed. Exactly. He's going to be judged by how he interacts with LeBron. Now, I don't know Frank Vogel personally. We've chatted with him. He doesn't necessarily, even though I could be wrong, feel like a LeBron James type of coach.
What is? Define a LeBron James type of coach.
It's hard to actually.
That's why I'm asking you.
Say that, but someone who is younger with not a ton of experience.
So somebody who placates and kisses LeBron's behind?
Well,
pretty much.
Or allows LeBron to be involved in the process.
Okay.
Right? So Spoelstra was this way, remember, because he was still a young head when he was with the Miami Heat. Same thing could be said about David Blatt, but he was older. He just new to the NBA, obviously out of his Israeli success.
Yep.
But that only lasted a year.
And that was a different personality. Like David Blatt's a very different.
It was weird. But it's still, I think David Blatt and LeBron had a pretty decent working relationship. LeBron just ultimately didn't like him. He didn't want to be the head coach, so he got him ousted, and Ty Lue comes in, who had exactly zero experience, and it was young and could, as a head coach.
We could shape.
It could shape, and LeBron could be a part of the process. Frank Vogel's been a head coach for 8 years, 7 years. He's been around the block. He's got his methods ingrained in his head, and his process is already set. LeBron's not coming in and changing Frank Vogel's mind. And so you can already see that this is going to be a clash. And then you throw in the fact that really what he is the head coach in proxy of Jason Kidd.
That's right.
Who they want to be the head coach, but for various reasons they can't actually hire right now for the head coach. So it's an odd situation that feels like it's doomed to fail. Now,
it's not going to work. It's going to be a colossal failure.
Of course I could be wrong, but
no,
this doesn't feel.
You won't be wrong.
This doesn't feel
failure.
Copacetic at all.
No, it's going to be horrendous. And I heard Stephen A. over the week. Actually, what it went down was that would have been Saturday night. Was that official?
Yep.
Saturday night made official. And he was jumping on SportsCenter, and he said, and it's interesting, he said part of the reason for this setup is that the Lakers really want Jason Kidd to be the coach, but based on a couple things, some very unsightly blemishes on his resume, his personal resume, not so much his coaching resume, domestic violence, domestic disputes, DUI.
On the Hamptons.
Yep, years back with that. That it's a little tough right now to present Jason Kidd as the front man. So what you do is you take somebody who seemingly is aware of the dynamic and willing to sign on for that, and then once that goes awry or once it becomes stale, now it doesn't have to go awry and implode and get ugly. It could get a little stale. But see, the problem is that I like Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is the ultimate alpha.
Agreed.
And there is no chance that he doesn't willingly and aggressively sabotage Frank Vogel. There's just no way around it. I don't know how else to say it.
I know.
He's going to, and I could be wrong, I believe he's going to look to take his legs out And from day one at that introductory press conference, Jason Kidd's thinking, how do I get to that next seat on the bench?
Yeah,
That's what I think.
Because Jason Kidd is the one that actually does have a good relationship with LeBron James, and they're going to be plotting, how do I do with you what I did with Ty Lue? And this is why, to be honest with you, Ty Lue didn't take this job for 3 years and whatever the number was, $18 million or $15 million, because he knew that was what ultimately is going to happen. You're tying your contract to an aging superstar. And in most cases, on some other team constructions, that's probably a good thing, right? If you have some vets and you're taking a shot at winning a championship, I'm going to go try to win a championship with LeBron James and some other, decent pieces. I'd sign up for that for 3 years. Why not, right? Mm-hmm. It gives you a launching point to go do something else. But the Lakers aren't that team right now. I mean, unless they get a couple of these guys in free agency, these big names that are going to come free in free agency, they're going to have much of the same season. Maybe they win 5 or 10 more games than they did last year, but they're not competing for a championship next year. And so Frank Vogel is getting back into the game, and that's good for him because he did have a year off. But it seems like he's being set up for failure, and worse, being set up to be sabotaged.
We're on the same page, and maybe Frank Vogel was reading the league, and his representation was doing the same thing, and he just wasn't thought as highly as he once was, and this is his way back in the door. And I don't begrudge him for that. It's a different. It's the complete antithesis of Indianapolis and Orlando. Relatively sleepy towns with patient fan bases. I don't want to say minimal expectations in the case of the Pacers. And the Magic are clearly ascending right now. I like what they're doing, but it's not L.A. Nothing is. It's a totally different dynamic. So, if this is what Frank wants to do, I wish him luck. I do like Frank. I do think he's a good basketball coach.
I do too.
But when you get to that third job, right, and you have success early and then you're met by unmitigated failure, that next job is pivotal. You've got, if you want to be a coach in the NBA I'm not talking about payroll, bank account. He's set for life. His kids is set for life. He's fine. Money's fine. But if Frank Vogel wants to coach in the NBA another 10, 12, 15 years, this better work out. Yeah. Because if this goes sideways fast, he's not getting hired again.
No, I think you're right. And it's not going to be his fault, but it's going to be on his resume. It's correct. It's what happens. You get these coaches sometimes. You see it in all sports. They take these jobs because it's their opportunity, but then they accumulate so many L's. It's just like you can't legitimize it, right? It doesn't go away
because it's hard to sell to the fan base, the new fan base. Exactly. Hey, everybody, welcome in so and so.
Got a 32%.
His previous stop, he went a robust 30 and 52, followed by 27 and do the math, whatever, 40 something. Here he is. He's here to lead us. All right, bring him up, everybody. All right, it's like 3 reporters in the seats. All right, here we go.
Agreed. Hey. And I don't know. Look, maybe this works out, but I don't think it's going to.
It's just bizarre. They are so lost right now. The Lakers are. I don't even I don't even know what word. Dysfunctional is not enough. Disgrace is too obvious. They're and I want to be a little smarter than that. That's anybody can just throw those words out. Yeah. They just seem as if they're directionless. That's the way I'll frame it. Yeah. Their direction is not defined now.
I think they have in their minds they have a plan. I'm not sure if it's the right one or if it's fully thought out. Because obviously Jason Kidd was pushed on Ty Lue as well. So they want Jason Kidd to be a part of this. And then probably some of that, at least what they're probably telling themselves, is that this is because we need someone who's familiar with LeBron James, even though it didn't make sense because Ty Lue is familiar than anybody on the planet with LeBron James, having coached him for 3 seasons. So it just doesn't make sense to me what the Lakers are trying to do.
They're scuffling.
And if you want Jason Kidd, I'd almost feel better if they wanted Jason Kidd to be their head coach, to just hire Jason Kidd as your head coach.
I'm with you.
And you know what? You're going to get some backlash because people are going to say, well, he did this and he did that. And he had failed in Milwaukee and he failed. And he pieced out on the Nets and all this other stuff. But you live with it, right? Take it on the chin. And you know what? When he turns out to be a really good head coach, you can say, I told you so. But do this like extraneous. We're going to hire this guy, but you got to take. You're not going to build your own staff, and you got to take Jason Kidd, and Jason Kidd's going to be there. He's going to be in direct contact with LeBron James, and maybe you have some interaction with. It just
like they think they're fooling us.
It just feels,
like we don't know what they're doing. We know what you're doing. We see the plan.
If you wanted to hire Jason Kidd, just hire Jason Kidd.
I agree. You lose a little respect for a franchise when they are afraid or unwilling or both to remain publicly married to their inner conviction. That's just weak.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't react. I mean, sometimes you have to. Like if there's a crime, obviously Kareem Hunt had to go. Like situations like that. Ray Rice from the Ravens had to go. And Jason Kidd did have a drinking infraction, granted, and the domestic issue as well. So he's had both.
Yeah, but a little convoluted though.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think that he's the guy, then just take the PR hit on the chin and put your plan in motion and go with it. Like to like introduce it in dribbles and drabbles and like to throw us off scent. Who are you fooling?
Nobody.
It's ridiculous.
Nobody.
It really is.
But they're trusting their own inner circle. I don't think there's an advisor outside of the Lakers that is advising them. It's internal. And I guess, I don't know.
It's odd. Odd is a good way to frame it. You want to leave it at odd?
Best way to frame it.